I elected lovers and rejected others, Mephistresses that don't give a damn. But in those that still do, my deep interest grew. The rise of the true Pentagram.
Hello everyone, I am Anthropomantic Fiend, and I do horror-related things on the internet. Today I'm going to be doing Renee's Guilty Pleasure Horror tag. His channel is awesome. He has two channels actually, Renee and Renee Dune. He really likes Japanese film, cult movies, all kinds of cool stuff. He may have actually deleted the original tag video for this, I don't know, but he's a really cool guy, so I'm going to do tag as some people have anyway, since I've been planning to do this for a while and I thought it'd be a fun video to make. I picked 5 movies that are more or less guilty pleasures for me. That said, I like a lot of really bad horror movies, but I love those unapologetically. I feel no guilt whatsoever for loving movies like Troll 2 or Demon Wind. Those movies are really fun. No apologies there. And I do feel that you should not feel guilty for liking the things that you like, but with these movies there was either a perception that they were really bad or just this huge pushback with a bunch of people hating them that I sort of felt guilty for liking it, and I would just sort of be the tiny conversation in the voice that was like, I liked that movie, and everybody else would just glare at me. I picked 5 of those movies. So the first is Apartment 143, otherwise known as Emergo. This was given as a gift, a Christmas gift to me by a really good friend who has watched my channel and knows how angry I got at a certain god-awful found footage movie and was like, here's another terrible found footage movie you should watch. Nothing can be as bad as the travesty of a movie, or so-called movie, that is Meadowwoods. Don't waste your time watching that thing. But I went into this movie with really low expectations, knowing that it's not supposed to be all that good, and I ended up actually really enjoying it. I know it's not really a particularly good film though. It's not bad in like a fun way either. It's a very bleak film, and it's full of jump scares that didn't get me. They were predictable, and the story is not anything special, but I just found myself drawn into it, and there's just this inner turmoil paralleled with all of the supernatural happenings in this house. It was decently shot, which is more than you can say for some found footage movies, because they've installed cameras all through the house to capture things and done this really pretty good looking multi-camera angled found footage horror movie. And I don't usually like found footage, and I know this isn't an especially good movie, but I just found myself drawn into the story and I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. Here we have 3 of the Hellraiser movies that came after 1 and 2, which are both masterpieces. This was given to me in the same package as a gift from my friend. All of these movies are definitely a step down in quality from the first 2. I could pick 2 of these 3 movies as guilty pleasures for me, and Hellraiser Inferno would not be one of them because that is just a horrible movie. It is really only a Hellraiser movie in the sense that they've kind of shoehorned Doug Bradley and Cenobites into the movie, and in the sense that it dispenses huge amounts of suffering, which is extremely Hellraiser, but no. Hellraiser Bloodlines, on the other hand, is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. It takes the Cenobites into space and back in time, and there's just all kinds of ridiculous scenes in this movie that I know were not good, but again, I just found myself drawn into the insanity of the whole thing, and I ended up really enjoying it. Hellraiser 3 was also a guilty pleasure with all of the ridiculous other Cenobites, but Bloodline was probably the one I liked a lot more than I was expecting, even more so than Hell on Earth. Another guilty pleasure for me would be Queen of the Damned, because that movie, unlike Interview with the Vampire, is a terrible adaptation of Anne Rice's work. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it for that reason. It is over the top. and insane. The fact that they got Jonathan Davis from Korn to do the soundtrack is hilarious to me because I get to hear his voice coming out of Lestat's mouth, and I just can't with that. It is too funny to me. Queen of the Damned is not a good movie, but it is wonderful. All of these are, again, kind of enjoyable to me in a way that is still pretty unapologetic, but these next two are really the guilty pleasures. The first of these would be Tim Burton's Dark Shadows. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this movie, being both a massive Tim Burton fan, but also a huge fan of the original Dark Shadows TV show, because they've taken what the story of the original show was, put a little bit of sort of a Dracula AD 1972 spin on it, even setting the movie in 1972, and then they just amp up all this really, really cringy comedy about Barnabas being out of his time, and it's just painful to watch. But at the same time, I can't not love the fact that we get to see Johnny Depp in a Tim Burton movie as Barnabas Collins at this crazy 70s party in Collinwood with Alice Cooper playing. That moment when they're going through the back story of Victoria and she starts talking about her past and sort of her being admitted to the mental institution, and we've got the Ballad of Dwight Fry by Alice Cooper playing in the background. That was just perfect to me. The rest of the movie not so perfect, but just for that scene and some of the other stuff in the movie, just aesthetics wise, I consider Tim Burton's Dark Shadows a guilty pleasure. If this were just a guilty pleasures movie list, I would probably put some other Tim Burton on this list, namely his Alice in Wonderland movies. I know those are not good movies, but I love them anyway. I love those movies maybe a little bit too much, and you can fight me if you think I am stupid for liking them. My final pick on here is the 2017 Tom Cruise Mummy movie, which was not good, but it had good moments and a lot of potential, and I had a great time watching it in the theater. Anybody who hates that movie, I do not care, because I had a really good time, and I don't care if it was shallow in the way that it tried to connect to the other Universal monsters, or sort of turned actiony or had jump scares in there. I just loved being able to see a depiction of the Dark Universe in the theater, and I know that movie absolutely bombed, but I want more Dark Universe movies. I know they're doing a Wolfman movie. Even if it ends up being terrible and ridiculous, I want the Dark Universe to exist, because just the idea of a new Universal Monsters cinematic universe makes me incredibly happy. Those are my horror guilty pleasures. I am going to tag Dave Maggot and Horrific Nightmares JM to do this tag, because I know that both of them have their Dave and Jason movies, which are bad but enjoyable. So I think they will have some good picks for this tag should they choose to do it. That is the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you in another one. Bye.